Now for our first story, the commercial court hearing the controversial 90% sale of Merchant Bank to Fortis will on January 27, 2014 rule on whether or not the plaintiff, Andrea Awuni, has a capacity to sue the Social Security and the National Insurance Trust NIT on behalf of contributors. The expected ruling will follow what has been hasty arguments by parties for and against the sale. Lead counsel for the Centre for Freedom and Accuracy, the group challenging the sale of Merchant Bank to Fortis on Tuesday, hit back at the Social Security and National Insurance Trust NIT, accusing the state institution of being lousy in its record keeping. Egbert Fable argued in court that the trust cannot be trusted to provide accurate records pertaining to his client, Andrea Awuni. SNIT and two others, Merchant Bank and the Bank of Ghana, challenged the capacity of Andrea Awuni in bringing a suit against them in a court of law.
President Mahama has inspected ongoing works on the center, which has housed the Academy of Arts and Sciences, a body established by an Act of Parliament to nurture and promote the knowledge of art and sciences.
The Academy, since its establishment in 1959, has had to share the premises of the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research. President Mahama, however, sought for work to begin in October 2012, with the Academy set to have its own offices by December 2014. The President, ahead of the inspection tour, held discussions with leadership of the Academy, including Professor Kofi Anyedoho, Professor Kilapasoya, and Professor Jimambedu Akosa. Honorary Secretary of the Academy, who doubles as the project consultant, explains the edifice will have, among others, a 400-seater auditorium and restaurants that will be available for public use and for social events.
Definitely. Everything we have to do, we have to go outside and rent facilities. Most of the time we go to the British Council, sometimes to the University of Ghana. Now we have our own auditorium. But we want this place to be accessible to the public also. It's more to do with making sure that a government-provided building is also accessible to members of the public. More importantly, it will help us to reduce our own demand on government, because you pay something for the use of the facility. Government is giving every department an ultimatum that you should generate a certain percentage of your expenditure. And if you don't do that, you will be in a difficult position.
The absence of appropriate office facilities has been blamed for the seeming minimal impact of the Academy on national development. The auditorium is expected to be completed by April 2014 and the entire secretariat by December the same year. For Joy News, Gifty Andoapia, Accra.
The Electoral Commission has been allocated a total of 141 million Ghana cedis for its 2014 operations. Parliament approved the budgetary allocation, most of which will be used to finance the upcoming district-level elections next year. The EC, however, came in for some bashing from some MPs who urged them to ensure the mistakes which occurred in the 2012 presidential and parliamentary elections were not repeated.
The majority leader, Benjamin Kumbo, in moving the motion for the approval of the allocation for the EC, referred to the recent election petition as enough reason to resource the Commission.
Supreme Court petition that just ended, a number of pointers were raised in relation to the capacity and efficiency of the electoral process. And some of them are technology-based. And so all the efforts to make sure that some of those irregularities don't occur will become a very important future.
A member of the Special Budget Committee, Professor Jan Bafo, in reading the committee's report, indicated there may be the need to supplement the allocation.
The Minister of Finance has to find the additional amount of 186,097,575 Ghana cedis expeditiously to enable the EC conduct the impending election without any hitches, as any delays may affect the program outline of the Commission.
Member for Asawasi and Majority Chief Whip Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak urged the EC to ensure their requests reach the House in good time.
The Electoral Commission, as independent as it is, Mr. Speaker, we need to urge them, as their budget is being debated, that issues that need to be resolved in Parliament in terms of some amendment or some legislation should be brought to the House in time to enable all the hurdles to be jumped so that when it comes to the timetable, it is not altered.
The minority leader also added to the call.
It's important because already we are late. And that is why the minister is talking about the conduct of the elections in October. The elections originally were not meant for October. They were meant for late August or early September. We have to, push it backwards because we recognize that we are late.
The House has also approved the amount allocated for the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Finance Minister Tepa has assured that contingency plans are in place to meet the requirements of the Electoral Commission in their bid to conduct any election next year. He said while the EC's budgets have been cut, government will pursue other sources of funding to meet the operations of the EC and to fulfill its own agenda. Mr. Tepa gave the assurance in an interview on Joy News in response to the concerns raised by members of Parliament about the inadequate funding to the EC for 2014 financial year. The MPs called for the needed funds to be released on time to enable the EC to conduct the district-level election next year, as well as to conduct a referendum on the proposed constitutional amendments on some entrenched clauses in the 1992 Constitution.
Meanwhile, the approval of the 36 million Ghana cedis allocated to the Ministry of Youth and Sports was not without controversy after MPs noted the JIDA initiative was left out in appropriation, even though it was captured as such in the 2014 budget. The sponsorship deal for the senior national team, the Black Stars, was also added to the debate.
Considering the fact that the various national teams, including the senior national football team, the Black Stars, the local Black Stars, and then the Black Maidens will participate in continental and world championship at various levels in year 2014, the committee is of the view that the amount allocated to the ministry is woefully inadequate.
JIDA's budget cannot be found within the estimate of youth and sports. Maybe why within the budget it's stated that it's under youth and sports, but the estimates we could not find it. We asked the Ministry of Finance, they could not convince the committee. It's something we need to interrogate further, to know where the money is sitting and how much has gone into to JIDA. That's why we need to reward excellence, reward competence, and reward all those things. If somebody all these years has committed himself to supporting the Black Stars, and last minute he is being denied that opportunity, it's unfair to the supporting fraternity. That's the concern I raise.
To go recruiting from wherever and sending people from various constituencies to sporting events, in particular to cheer up the national teams. I overheard the Deputy Minister of Information say that, are they not Ghanaians? The Speaker, if he wants it for the record, let him speak to the mic so that it's captured on the record.
Then the member for Asante Achim North, Kwajoba Ajiman, raised concerns on the total sum going to the sponsorship of the Black Stars, a view a member for Tano North, Frida Prempe, also shared.
Advising the ministry to get in touch with the FA, because the FA has in debt of sponsorships that are particularly going for the Black Stars. GNPC is giving them $3 million. Glow is giving the Black Stars $9 million. Guinness is giving them $1 million. Rice Masters is giving them $100,000. Latest Foam gives them 100,000 Ghana cedis. Unibank just signed a sponsorship amount of 1.2 million with the Black Stars. Voltic is also sponsoring the Black Stars.
He did indicate to the committee that they have estimated 24 million Ghana cedis for the Black Stars participation in Brazil, 9 million for the under-17 in Costa Rica, and 2 million for the CHAN in South Africa. Mr. Speaker, by this estimate, you realize that the Ministry of Youth and Sports is definitely not going to be able to organize itself to run its statutory programs for the year.
The minister then denied knowledge of such arrangements.
We have not quoted any figures. I heard some people mentioning some figures. We have not quoted any figures. And today, as we speak, officially, we have not received the budget for the Black Stars. We have not received. So any figures that are being put out are purely speculative. It is important that the August House such as this should know that as I stand here now, I have not received any official correspondence or communication as to how much it will cost to send the Black Stars or how much it will cost to send supporters.
The House subsequently approved of the allocation for the ministry.
The Electricity Company of Ghana and Ghana Water Company have assured customers constant supply this Yuletide, except for those who owe. In case of defaulting customers who owe about 100 million Ghana cedis, the two companies have announced an aggressive disconnection exercise starting Friday, December 22.
Officials are hoping to retrieve at least 70% of all monies owed them by the time the mass disconnection exercise is over. The funds, they explain, form a chunk of the money they need to operate in 2014.
And we all know that when we go for the Christmas break, we tend to spend more. And after the holidays, I'm not sure we'll have enough to pay our bills. So we are engaging them. It's a reminder that our customers should pay us before we go for the Christmas break. All customers, so long as you are using the postpaid and you are owing us, your bill is due. We expect that will come around to demand our money, and it will take the form of disconnection.
We are going to start we have a new project that we're coming up. We have done our budgets, so we need money to implement all those projects that we have planned so far. So this is the time, I must say, that we think people will be willing to pay. And then, don't forget holidays. The holiday is coming. A lot of people will be at home, and those who have even forgotten to pay, I know that once the awareness is created that if they don't pay, we'll disconnect them. They'll go ahead and do the payment for us.
Customers have meanwhile been asked to readily make available to the disconnection teams evidence they have paid their bills to avoid situations where they will be unfairly disconnected. They add that an impending break for the Yuletide on Monday, December 23, will mean customers who are disconnected will have to wait until they resume in the new year, though a team will be available to respond to emergencies.
We can't say that it will be 100%, because there are all what we call unplanned outages, where there are some through any accident or anything untoward should happen. Cable faults, that's more unannounced, that's the unplanned. But our men will be on the ground 24 hours during the holidays, so that they can move quickly to the field and then undertake any repairs that they ought to do.
No, I believe that it will be okay, though especially the western parts of Accra, they have a lot of water. And that is where the problem has been in recent times. But now that we are finished with the work that we were doing, I assure them that they will have a regular flow of water for the Christmas and enjoy it to the full.
Whereas the Electricity Company of Ghana Task Force has already begun the exercise to disconnect non-paying consumers, the Ghana Water Company Limited has meanwhile indicated it will start its exercise on Thursday, December 19.
I have to turn our attention to some other news, and the Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister Nana Oyeletha on Tuesday appeared before the Justice Dati Ban Committee to respond to her alleged involvement in a recent Supreme Court judgment on the election petition. The committee was set up by the Chief Justice, Georgina Theodora Wood, to investigate suggestions on a leaked tape in which former Deputy Communications Minister Victoria Hammer said the Gender Minister played a role in the outcome of the election petition. The meeting was held in camera. Nana Oyeletha would not speak to the media on what transpired during the meeting, but she had publicly denied any involvement in the election petition.
Some textile workers have been picketing against the decision to suspend the operations of the task force clamping down to the sale of anti-pirated wax spraying, arguing that the move suggests insensitivity towards an industry saddled with challenges. They are asking government to rescind a decision to avert a total collapse of the local textile industry.
The coalition of textile workers, among other players of the sector, marched through the streets of the capital to protest the suspension of the task force. Chanting with placards, they headed for the Trade Ministry to petition government to reactivate the task force.
Had a meeting with the Deputy Trade Minister, and he put some things across. He told you that you should bring reports to see how you can review the task force. You think it wasn't enough for you?
Not at all. It wasn't enough, because the task force, after their first exercise, there wasn't anything bad that happened, and we don't see why the minister should put hold to the activities of the task force. And we can see that it's a strategy, because this is the season, at least for the textiles businesses to sell. And this is the very time the government is putting hold of the activities of the task force. It means government is allowing those doing illegal business to continue doing, rather putting hold to the business, the genuine business operators. And for that, I think nobody will sit down and just look at it. When we met the deputy minister, from the way he was talking, and then now going to set up a committee, and a committee, how long is it going to take for the committee to work, and when are they going to present their report, and when are they going to, what new thing the minister thinks that the task force can do? We want to call on the government to ensure that the task force will resume their activities as soon as possible. If that fails, then I think the industry will advise itself.
Minister for Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrisu, after receiving the petition, assured the demonstrators government is still committed to the textile industry. He explained that government has no plans to abolish the task force, but rather restructure it to make it effective.
All I'm doing and all I ask for, all government is asking for, is for your cooperation. I need to restructure the task force to respond to the complexity of the problem. But there is no intention to stop the work of the task force. We will have a consultative stakeholder meeting, define the parameters, and proceed with work. But I need your cooperation. One of the allegations I've had is that some of the intellectual property of some of the companies are leaked to the foreigners by workers of the textiles company. I cannot police that. I cannot identify those people. You must help me to identify it.
Well, so that's it we have for the morning. If you want to interact, just easy for you to do so. Log on to the Facebook page we have, Join News on TV, and get interactive. 054433472, it's our WhatsApp number. And look again at our headlines. An Accra Commercial Court will on 27th of January 2014 rule whether anti-corruption campaigner Andrew Awuni indeed has a capacity to sue SNET and the Bank of Ghana and Merchant Bank over the Fortis deal. ECG and Ghana Water assure customers of constant water supply this very Christmas, including power, as well as they embark on a mass disconnection exercise. Up next is sports. Stay on. We'll be right back. Brought to you by Tigo. Smile, you've got Tigo. In our first story, minority spokesperson on sports, Isaac Siama, has lashed out at the Ghana Football Association and Ministry of Sports for not doing enough on preparations for the World Cup budget.
The minister, on 3 occasions, we missed him. We had to suspend sittings for 3 occasions. We still missed him. For the 3rd one, he couldn't come. So we finally had to agree that the deputy minister should step in. When he came, we asked that specific question. I asked that question, that how much has been budgeted for 2014, our preparation and participation in Brazil, the World Cup. The minister, categorically, deputy minister, Honorable Yami, stated emphatically that they had budgeted 24 million Ghana cedis for our preparation and participation in Brazil. And I asked the question, does it even include the corporate sponsorship? He couldn't even answer. He was emphatic that maybe, so we thought maybe cutting down expenditure and everything. But here comes the minister who now on the floor of the House is denying what his own deputy said. He claims that all that was said was speculative and that was not the budget for our participation in the 2014 FIFA World Cup. So the minister has told the whole country, the world, that Ghana doesn't know how much it's going to spend on our preparation and participation in the FIFA World Cup 2014.
Meanwhile, Sports Minister Elvis Afriankra has rubbish allegations that the World Cup budget was being slashed.
The sponsorship for the Black Stars is GMPC $3 million a year. Unibank just signed an agreement $400,000 a year. Guinness $400,000. Puma is the kit sponsor, and CCTC $100,000. As I said, we have not quoted any figures. I heard some people mentioning some figures. We have not quoted any figures. And today, as we speak, officially, we have not received the budget for the Black Stars. We have not received. So any figures that are being put out are purely speculative.